bunch of these were delivered with all the pump stations. So you guys should be able to get your hands on these from Pioneer. If not, we have an overstock of them. We can definitely make sure you get them. This height here, about a 5 to 6 foot length, is about perfect. They make extensions for them, so if you go to some of the deeper ones, you may want those extensions. The extension is really easy. There's a pin here in the bottom. Still the same. There's a little pin that goes through a hole here. And you loosen that out, you stick the other one in, it's got a hole in it, you put the pin back in. I cheat, that's why mine isn't there. I actually took the pin off of my hitch, put it in there, put the pin on, because I don't keep them together that long, and those threads sometimes get bogged up, so I just have like a little cotter pin I use. I just got to remember to put it back in my hitch before I throw it away. These serve multiple purposes. You know, one, if something was in the bottom of the tank, you can fish it out, but this actually actuates the flag assembly, and then there's a lock mechanism on the top of the pump that we use this thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disengage the pump lock mechanism, which on these pumps, every one's going to be the same. You have a single bolt right here in the top middle of the pump. This is your official extraction rope here. That nut right there? Yep, right in the middle. This little lock mechanism right there in the middle. You got a red tag, black indicator. Green is good to go, red is locked in. So it's about a third of a turn. Even if those weren't there, lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. If I put this on here, even if I couldn't see it, and I go left, when it stops to the left, it's good. If it's to the right, it's locked in. So we just unlock it. It's a third. And I'm going to take this end. Got this stainless steel, we call this a flag assembly that I'm hitting here over the top of the discharge. Little thin piece of stainless steel metal. This serves two purposes. One, it's holding that discharge in place so it can't pop up during a high pressure. The other thing it is it actuates a ball valve that sits down in here so I don't get any back pressure. You guys have check valves and all that good kind of stuff, but you never know. There is a hole in the top. If you're standing on our side, it's your top left. If you're standing on the other side, it's your top right. There's a hole in the corner. So right now I'm in that hole. I can't go anywhere. But by getting in there, I can actually, watch your face for a second. I can hit this off the side just to kind of kick it a little bit. So just like any other ball valve, perpendicular to the pipe closed, parallel open. So that's now closed, and this is disengaged. So now I can pull this pump. So,
how heavy is the pump?
108 pounds. So the first thing I do is I want to get my plug system out of the way. I always leave this plugged in when I'm pulling the pump because right now this is NEMA 6P rated. If this is flooded or I get any water, it drops back in the tank, it's going to be fine. If I unplug it, now I have the possibility of electrical and water coming together. I don't like that. Leave this out of the way here. If you want, get creative, put something on top of it, don't hold it. I'm pulling these by hand, so normally at this point I would already have like rubber gloves on. None of these things are operational, so this is just water. So I am going to put on, I'm going to even do this over my rubber gloves, just something a little better for pulling. But if you're only pulling one pump, it's not that bad. When you're only pumping the 8th of the day, your hands start to get a little When you pull the pump or put the pump back in, you're always best to be over there. So every tank's the same. Your vents are going to be directly across from your discharge. The reason why is if I pull this pump here, as soon as that pump starts to come up, it might hit that same flag assembly that I just closed. It's going to pop it open. Now again, I have a check valve there, but I don't like putting my faith in check valves any more than anything else. I've been sprayed in the face enough times with raw sewage. I like to stand on that side. So I come over here. So like I said, I'm going to show you this once by hand, once without. So on your standard height units, most guys in the average height range can do this in one pull. There are ways to do it in probably a 3 pull. I'm going to show you the 3 pull because it's probably safety-wise it's better. So first thing I'm going to do is get low on this rope, always lifting with the legs, not the back. I'm going to do one little wrap with my hands just so this rope can slide through your hands if you don't do that. gonna get the pump up just enough so that I can sit it. There's a bell system on the side of the pump. I'll show you when I get it up, but I can sit it there. Now I can't leave it here because that bell system is not rigid. It's kind of a rubbery plastic. But for a couple seconds just to go, okay, let me get a better grip. Okay. Now I'm gonna bring it up and I'm gonna hang that discharge right on the side of the tank. I can leave it here for days, wouldn't matter. Now, I'm just gonna do one more here. Now you could do what I did there. You could get it halfway up, lay it down, it doesn't matter. The pump is very durable, just don't drop it off the back of your truck. So this is the pump, this is that bell assembly I was telling you about. So it's pretty rigid, but if you left it there long term, it would deflect. So, we're playing a little bit of make-believe here, right? This is my bad pump. Pull this out, unplug it from the power source. This is a just hand nut loose, pops off. You're gonna wish every pump had that.
I already do.
This gets wrapped up, thrown in the back of the truck. Grab my other one, I bring it out. So a couple of things that are important when you're putting a pump in. Pulling a pump out is more physical, but easier. Putting the pump in, the more you do up here to help yourself before you even get over the top of the tank, you'll be happy. So when you take a pump out of your truck, it's probably gonna look like this. If you try to put that pump in the tank, you'll fight all day.
Yep.
So the key is that where these ropes sit in these grooves on the side of the pump, the discharge has to make a perfect T to that point. So you want to make sure that this discharge is right in there. And if it's a little bit loose like this one is, I'm going to tighten it down just by tightening this nut. I've never put a wrench on these in my life. If you do, you'll snap it.
Okay.
I just twist it to the right. And then what I do is when it starts getting snug, I put this to the left and I twist it with it to the right. It gets pretty snug at that point. I want that as perfect as possible because it's going to save my ass in about 2 minutes. So again, now this is our replacement pump we're putting in the tank. Temporary spare pump, however you want to look at it. First thing I want to do is make sure I don't have a lot of dirt and gravel going back into my tank. I'm going to bring this, I'm going to put the edge over the tank. It's going to let gravity do more work. This next part is more preference, but trust me, it's worth it. I like to have my cable behind my ropes. The reason is the cable comes in here, the ropes are in the middle, the discharge is on that side. If I keep them that way, it just makes it a lot easier the next time someone comes out.
If that was packed with rags and you had to clean that pump out,
Yeah.
you take those bolts off that black ring and you pop that black ring out?
The pump, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could just reach up in there and grab whatever.
And if you
If you
can't...
look in that bottom, that's that macerator inlet.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything gets ground around the outside.
Yep.
But I could train you how to take every component of this pump apart. But yes, so you would take a 5/16 nut driver.
Take that black thing
Four
off?
bolts that hold that black piece on. You take that off. Next, you have the shredder ring.
Yep.
That is the outside macerator. That's kind of more just a press fit. So if you hold that with your hand and tap it with a little hammer or even a channel lock, it'll pop right off. Then you're to the actual cutter wheel. That cutter wheel spins counterclockwise. So you can actually just knock it loose, it's threaded on.
Yep.
You can take that off, and then you could actually get up to the actual inlet port of the pump where you could pull anything out. If it's beyond there, there's next levels of how you can take it off.
Okay.
You're not going to come across a lot of clogged E1 pumps. Like I said, if you do, there's going to be a huge mass in the tank. So you have two options for that. The easy option, easy. I don't know if you guys have your own pump trucks, right? It's called a pump truck. Have them come suck it out. Option B, if you're in a pinch, maybe it's a Friday night and you just want to get home, you take the end of this wrench and you can fish a decent amount of that float stuff right out, save it off to the side. We normally save it in the trash bag and let the homeowner feel their 50 pounds of wipes.
Yeah.
That's not normal. You might have buildup of grease on the side of the pump. We take a lot of pictures when we go on calls, same way we do with our startup cells, documentation. So it's just good ways to keep track of what's going on. So every pump has a serial number on the pump 3 times. It's also on the wall of the tank, on the non-deep ones.
Okay.
It's registered in the system. So we actually, this pump is married to this site.
Okay.
So the idea would be if you guys come out here, you pull this pump out, you put a spare pump in, maybe we come figure out what's wrong with this pump, we fix it. when it's repaired, we want to put this pump back in this site and take your spare back. You have your spares and your site pumps, and they all stay in their respective homes. The reason for that is if this pump continues having issues or something like that, so let's say this pump had a problem, you just keep moving around town, and all of a sudden, oh, now that house had a problem, now that house had a problem. It's actually not the house, it's the pump. Or you keep putting pumps in here and they keep failing, it's the house, not the pump. So, you know, it's a way of us better keeping track if there's an issue that maybe is, you know, not popping up when we're servicing something, but, you know, we can track it better. But yeah, every single part of this pump can be taken apart, put back together, repaired. Every single part is purchasable. In the little toolbox I have in the back of my truck, which is about this wide and this long, about that deep, I can rebuild 4 of these pumps out of that toolbox. They're very repairable. So all these systems have a 5-year warranty. That's part of what the package was that came with the company. Now, that warranty, just like any other warranty, that covers manufacturer defects, things of that sort. Not abuse of the system if they're doing stuff like that. Not installation errors, which we're doing startups, but there's also things that maybe we can't see that could down the road maybe cause an issue, like when they tie this 6-inch line in, if they don't do a good job there, maybe that causes some issues, gets a bunch of dirt and gravel in the tank, that wouldn't necessarily be warranted, but we're still going to fix the pump. But if there's anything that goes wrong in the switches, the controls of the pump, something like that, that's all 100% covered under warranty. So my guess is, at least for that 5 years, you guys are going to pull these pumps out, we're going to repair them, most likely under warranty, bring them back. After that 5 years, I guess 4.5 years from now might be the conversation of, after that, are you guys going to want to do those repairs, or are you going to want to keep that same process where we fix the pumps for you, but now it's at a billable rate? I can rebuild one of these pumps in under 2 hours, so it's not a lot of labor. It's just, you know, years of experience. So I'm now going to put my new pump back in, take this. These, they cannot go together incorrectly. You have a little notch there, a little male side there. They have to be lined up properly to go together. Snug that down. I always make sure these are tight, just out of habit.
Those are watertight too?
This is NEMA 6P rated, which I believe the official for that means it can go underwater for like 30 feet for like 3 days and it's still watertight. It's a double O-ring radial seal inside here. So it's a very good watertight system. Once I have that connected, and again, I always do that before I put the pump in, so if it does happen to go into the tank, it's protected. I'm going to come over here. At this point, it's really wherever I'm comfortable grabbing these ropes, but I want to make sure that when I tip this forward, I can control it with gravity. It is very important that these ropes are in these grooves. If you have something like that, you will never be able to get this pump locked into the tank. So like I said, the things you do here make things better there. The other thing I'm going to do when I put this in is I'm going to hang it on the top again with the candy cane, and then I can double check all of that stuff. So now, I'm just going to tip this up, let it kind of work its way into the tank, hang it back here, and this is where I'm going to make sure, yep, that looks pretty good, those are in the groove, I feel like I'm ready to go into the discharge at this point. So again, I'm just going to get a little bit low, but I'm going to let this is why these gloves are really good, because I'm going to let this slide through my hands. The deeper the tank, the more rope burn, if you don't have good gloves. So I just let this slide down, kind of working its way in the whole way. And I kind of got to get this discharge. Just put myself on the back here, there we go. And then you can see where those two ropes sit in those little grooves on the side. If all of that is correct, the pump will kind of just sit itself right in. Just give it a little wiggle so that the weight can do its thing. So now at this point, I think I'm in, I'm pretty close. What I do is I take this tank wrench again. I'm actually going to push on the back of the discharge just to make sure it's down all the way. And as I do that, I'm just going to kind of lift a little bit with this hand so I can push that in. Now I can feel that that's all the way down. That means that flipping this...
Even with the dirt around the neck, you have no problem with that?
Nope.
Really?
This
And now it's backwards. You do your flip.
goes right up.
Yep.
Yeah, the first thing you do is unlock it. The last thing you do is lock it back in. Because if you try to lock it, it's probably not going to lock if that discharge won't go up all the way. If that discharge goes up nice, it'll lock right in.
Sweet.
Now at this point, I just want to make sure I hang everything back up top nicely for the next guy, which is likely going to be myself if I don't do it. So get all these stainless steel hooks up top. Bring the rope up. Like, again, this is a little bit of preference.
We're doing the call.
It's a good thing. I pull this up semi-snug. I put the pin right through the rope so it can't slide up or down. I take this excess and I let it keep dropping in until I get to the top. And I hook it again. When I come here, everyone we do the startup on, this is how you're going to find it. You guys leave it this way for the next person, you'll all be very happy because you know exactly what you're getting into. That is swapping a pump.